G'day fellas and welcome to a casted game of Age of Empires 4. Today we are on Gorge to watch the Old English against the New English. Ladies and gentlemen, a pleasure to have your company here in this casted game. Let's introduce our players for today and take a look who we've got facing off in this battle of, of the United. Well, they're not really united. Anyway, you guys know what I mean. Anyway, let's get to it. Sporting in the north of the map in the color blue, playing as the House of Lancaster, the New English variant civilization, it's Dennis Kya. And on the south side of the map in the color red, playing as the Old English variant, the English, it's Cap. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a casted game. A pleasure to have your company here today. For this casted game, of course, we are on Gorge, a good fun map, a map that is typically a bit more active. You've got this nice open passage in the middle. It's a bit difficult to wall. There's typically the sacred site that's going to be blocking you out from that, and that often means it's very difficult to wall your base. On top of that, you're not really towards the back of the map in the sense that you're not in the pocket, so it's harder for you to wall yourself in. So typically we do see more action, which is something that I like. And if you like that as well, then I encourage you to go down and leave a like on the video. Look at that. That was a good segue. Come on, guys. I got to get better at these segues. I got to think up a better segue to encourage you guys to leave likes on the video. Because at the end of the day, it definitely helps out the traction of the videos. And that's important, right? But let's check in and talk about Dennis and about the menace that he is and what he's going to be doing this game. So, House of Lancaster's obviously got quite a few differences from the OG English. I'm going to put my legs up right now, get myself comfortable in this seat, because we're looking forward to a good game here today. And I'm kind of curious to see where the strategy goes for these guys. Like, do we have Council Hall into longbow spam, or is it just going to be, you know what, it'd be so dangerous to do longbow spam into House of Lancaster. If we think about Lancaster, right, like, that's gotta be it. Yeah, I was looking at that. I'm thinking that there's no way you're just moving 4 vills out. A little bit of a weird orientation of the vills from Dennis, but I guess he's got his build order in his mind and he knows what he's doing, right? Like, you could have just had these 2 vills start the Lancaster Castle and then walk these 2 vills across and then send these 2 vills out over to here, and it saves you a bit of walking distance. But it's one of those things where it's like he's probably pre-prepared this in his mind and you know, has just obviously got everything all planned out. So we'll let him off for now. But if we think about, like, longbow versus yeoman, okay? Longbow, it is a longer range unit, a little bit more expensive, and it's a slower unit. It's up against the yeoman, which is a higher ranged archer than normal, and a very fast unit, especially for an archer. So what this basically means, if there is ever a point where you're engaging against the English as the House of Lancaster, and you see that you have an advantage in numbers, you can essentially guarantee that you can just kill all of the English longbows. So for that reason and that reason alone, I would be very hesitant to open up with early English longbows here from Kalp, unless he was going in for like an all-in, which it kind of looks like he does at the moment. I wonder if he's going to drop the racks down as well. He's got 4 vills on the age up, which is really, really pushing it. He's looking for about a 4-minute age up here. So I wouldn't be surprised maybe if we just see like a handful of longbows just to try and be annoying. Like, you know, like a couple longbows hit the stone outcropping, one comes over and tries to hit the wood line, another one tries to squeeze it on the gold mine. I can 100% see that, but I don't see him going any kind of committed early attack. It doesn't feel like it's going to work, but we'll check in with him shortly as the age up is about to come through. In fact, he's rushing the Council Hall. What is this about? If you take a look on the other side of the map, he's got 8 villagers on the Council Hall. Why is he in such a rush to get the Council Hall up? Is he trying to put on... He just wants to get the early pressure out? I think that's it. Like, is he looking... He's going... Yeah, he wants to go for the stone. Yeah, I don't actually mind this. I think this is quite good. This is part of the reason why I was thinking, you know, like an early men-at-arms could actually be good, or an early spearman could be decent here. But at the end of the day, I mean, you're up against English villagers. You got to remember that. They've got the short bow, so they can fire back. So the longbow is probably the best bet when it comes to this. So I kind of like this way that Kalp is thinking, where it's like, how do you beat the guy who is almost impossible to take out early? And you can see already we've got the first mana coming through. Second mana is about to come through, and I think it's unlikely that he gets enough stone for the third mana, but we can see that second one is just about to have enough for it right now. Moving out across. Now, Dennis isn't going to see this. It's right... Oh, it just popped into his line of sight for a little bit right there. He will also scout that out now, so not going to be the Abbey, going to be, obviously, the Council Hall. So he saw it for a blink of a second right there. And now Cap's beginning to move around. That's the second men are going to get put down here. So there's definitely, like, this little spot right here is very, very nice for Cap. So hopefully he's identified that if we ride on board with him. Indeed he has. So yeah, I think he could just stand here and really not have too much of a hassle. Now, I'm kind of curious to see how he looks to play this, because I would be looking to gather up the 900. So don't pull all the vills away. Just pull the one that's getting injured away and then pull a couple more wood vills out. You don't want to lose a vill here. So let's see exactly how he looks to play it. So he does indeed keep the vills on stone. Yeah. So now you can pull off. I think that's fine. So make sure these guys all hand in. The second longbow has come out. And so from here, I think you just play standard. So I'd almost go into, you could do a castle age. The trouble is, if you try and do a castle age, is there a risk? Yeah, see, the thing I fear is that these longbows come into here. And they're going to hit the back, because if we look, there's like a nice little spot right here where they can park, and there's nothing you could do. You could do like a mining camp over on this side. And this is part of the reason why, like, whenever I was doing my build order theory crafting, I was like, okay, what you want to do is you want to offset the mining camp by one tile on the edge of the map, on the edge, and then you put the Lancaster castle on the outside like this, and then that's going to mean that all of your villagers are always gathering under the Lancaster, which has got 8 tiles of range. So it doesn't necessarily protect them, but it does give a little bit of a response to these longbows. But I'm curious to see whether or not Dennis is going to look to try and take stone from anywhere else on the map right now. We can see the scout towards the north. So Cap, of course, looking out for any potential vills. Going to head up towards this large stone. You can see immediately is like, okay, come on. I know what you're trying to do. Now, the question is, how does Cap follow up with this? Because he's obviously opened up with Spearman Longbow. And this is, in my mind, this is a massive mistake. Because I think what you should be following this up with, instead of going into Spearmen, is going into Horsemen. So the idea would be simple, right? Like, you would go Longbow and then into Horsemen. The problem is, if you go into Spearmen and your enemy just makes Yeomen, then they're very quickly going to start outnumbering you, and then they're just going to absolutely destroy you. Longbow going to take a bit of damage here. Tell you what, it takes some damage here. 12 damage a shot from that. That is a lot of work coming out from the Lancaster right there. But second archery range now going to be coming up as well for Dennis as he looks to defend. Third one in the back of the base, and this is where it starts to get scary, right? Look, he's got plenty of sheep under the town center. Doesn't have to worry too much about any of this wood at the back. Actually, kind of does. It's hard. You need like the scout over here and then the longbows right there, so the scout can see the vills. The longbows can fire. But even then, you just move down to this side. And ideally, by the time that's happened, you've probably got some units out. But he's going to start building up the numbers now. The first of the 3 yeomen are on the way. Up towards the north, the scout's going to run into a wolf, and we'll check in with Cap and see how he's doing on the offense. You can see that we do have a longbowman that is going to get baited in a little bit too close here. He's, in fact, got quite a few units getting close to the Lancaster castle. I do like the positioning on it here. I guess the other thing to note is if you put the Lancaster here, there's no guarantee it can see all the way up the hill. You can see it's having a little bit of trouble, even though it's got the range, it can't actually see up there. So, I mean, but at the end of the day, I mean, you're not going to be attacking through the Lancaster to hit the vills. Not going to be happening, but now definitely a little bit of a mistake here from Dennis. I don't know what he was thinking about this. So when it comes to the numbers for Dennis, he needs to hold off. I would be waiting until you're sitting at about 20 yeomen. Once you've got 20 yeomen, then it's time to go, man. That is the way I would be thinking about this. You want to typically avoid these early fights, just because if we think about it from an economics perspective, Kaup has put a whole bunch of resources into military and military only. And sure, he had that one spear early on, and it's only been one spear. And now the reality is he's got upgrades coming through. He's got a lot of units out. So we need to wait. We can't really look to push the agenda. But we do now start to see Dennis. He's looking to pick up reinforcements, which I think is absolutely fine, especially because we know where all these longbows are. We know they're not really going to be doing us harm at the moment. So we can look to get out onto the map. That scout is going to spot out some targets. If he moves in close to the gold vein, there's a good chance he could look to try and one-shot these vills. He doesn't actually have enough damage to one-shot them just yet. 9 archers, 45 damage in total, because they each do 5. So if we have a look on board with Kaup here, he's obviously going to have his own scout through the middle of the map, but will spot these vills out. He's going to need good micro if he wants to be able to take them all out. First vill going to go down. Second vill, unfortunately, going to get away. And oh, it's so close. He might be able to get it. Yeah, he's got the extra movement speed. Third vill not going to be able to get that. So I think if he moved in right next to the gold mine, he probably would have got all 3 of them. Wouldn't have been able to one-shot, but still would have been able to get them all. Men-at-Arms now going to be coming through as well for Kaup. So interesting decision going into the Men-at-Arms. Now, I do still think the Yeomen probably beat longbow and men-at-arms. And the reason why is because the yeomen can just run through the men-at-arms. They don't really care that much about them. At the end of the day, they're tanky, they're annoying, but they don't do a lot of damage. And as long as you're able to just to kite and then hit the back line, just go and kill all the longbows, you can pretty much just ignore the men-at-arms, and then once there's only men-at-arms left, then you can just kite them. But the reality is they've got a really high speed, and yeah, now finally we see Kaup coming down here. I was kind of wondering why we didn't have this earlier, and you can see there is a little bit of a problem here. As, yeah, unfortunately, the base building is not perfect from Dennis, so he does lose out the 2 villagers, but so far, I think he's done a pretty stellar job, and we do see hobblers coming out. So, an interesting choice here to go into the hobblers. I don't know why you'd go hobblers, just because the yeomen, I feel like the yeomen just absolutely destroy the enemy in this situation, as long as you've got your +1s, and he does now have his +1s coming through. So at this point, if we take a look at his damage and armor, he's got 6 and 1 compared to the enemy who's 7 and 1. So they do have an extra little bit of damage here. So we do need to consider that, but we also need to consider the fact that they are quite slow. So once we've got the number advantage, so here 27 versus 26. So at this point, 100%, we can just look to push the enemy. And if we are able to find them, if we're able to catch them off guard, then we're really able to punish them. But at the same time, I think Kaup knows that. And this is where I'd love to see like the total resources generated for both of these players at this point, because undoubtedly at this point, Dennis's Menors have now paid themselves off. Actually, have they paid themselves off? They're 300 resources each. The mana is generating, how much does it generate again? It's 45 and 60. Oh, that's so much. They pay themselves off in 3 minutes, dude. That's crazy. I guess with the villager idle time as well, it's 45 seconds. So that would be, if they gather 40 resources per minute, so that's 30. So you're looking at 330 cost. So basically these guys pay themselves off in, is it exactly? Yeah, it's almost exactly 3 minutes. A little bit, yeah, a little bit over 3 minutes they pay themselves off. And these came down at 5 minutes, right? So at this point, they've paid themselves off, and now they're just pumping, you know, resources into the economy. And that means that at this point, Dennis has now got a larger amount of military than Kaup, even though Kaup has put every single dollar into upgrades, into units, into production for his military. We do see that Dennis will have more military, and you can actually see the army value does actually show that at this point. So he's up by just a slight amount, but I mean, that is enough right there to demonstrate that at the end of the day, as long as you're able to survive just a couple of minutes in the early game, there's really no reason why you shouldn't be dropping down 3 menas at the very least. It is, yeah, it's impressive. And consider this was a very early aggressive opening here. To be fair, he had a pretty good stone outcropping. But I wouldn't be surprised if there is a world where we start seeing players putting down their Lancaster castle on the stone. And the reason why is because then what you can do is just transition that into additional manas. And of course, you might not have gold because you wouldn't be able to, you know, get your condensed land practices because your enemies isolated your gold. But I think that there's definitely a world where you can say, okay, well, I'm going to go with, start off with my 3. You could even, there's a world where you even drop a market. You can probably afford to sell up to 3 sets of stone. That's another possibility, because at the end of the day, as long as you've got 900 stone, you're going to be able to gather or to take all 3 of those manas. And then you can obviously sell other resources as well. I mean, we ideally don't want to do that, but I guess it's a consideration. You could always throw an outpost down as well, the same way that Dennis is doing at the moment. But how are we moving? We're moving towards age ups. That's how we're moving at the moment. In fact, both players kind of getting the message at the same time. Neither of them really willing to push the issue at this stage. You can see that ranged armor coming through from the Hobbler is just incredible. They've got 4 ranged armor in the feudal age, which is kind of wild. Upgrades also starting to come through. Wheelbarrow on the side of Dennis. He's already picked up double broadaxe. No horticulture just yet. Meanwhile, on the side of Kaup, we don't see any eco upgrades whatsoever. But there is going to be a castle age. I suspect a King's Palace going to be coming down. If you're going to put down a King's Palace, it's probably going to be right here. Hits both of the wood lines. You could also technically do here. I wouldn't do here. I go for this spot right here. And we hear the longbows as they begin bracing. But Kaup's on the move. He's come down to the south side. The spearman, I think, has spotted something, and all the vills now going to be rushing back towards the town center as the longbows look to cover. He's almost got enough to age up here. We can see all of those vills being brought back. Hoblar's going to do a bit of a run through, see what they can spot. But for the moment, there is not too much. Spearman towards the front. Longbows towards the back. A little bit of a quick wall coming in, and I think this is probably going to change where that King's Palace does go down. No, he's decided to cancel it, so still probably going to be looking to put the King's Palace right here. All the longbows ready to go. No, he's going to go for it here. Interesting decision. I wonder what was the thinking behind this. I guess just looking to keep this back part a little bit more open for some farms, potentially. Anyway, age up coming through on the other side as well. Both of these guys getting the memo to age up. King's College in for Dennis. A whole bunch of unique technologies available to you at the King's College. Some buffs for your hobblers, some buffs for your knights, some buffs for your demi-lancers, and of course some hand cannoneer bonuses as well. You also get some bonuses for your yeomen and their bonus damage. So that will mean bonuses to his light melee infantry. Like the plus bonus goes from +5 to +6. And there we go. So a whole bunch of new techs that have come through. He's also got Warwolf Trebuchet, which I hope we get to see, because the new Warwolf Trebuchet is... Oh my god, my English is feeling a little bit bad. I gotta move my mouth more. Move my mouth more. Maybe I gotta do some of those warm-ups, those vocal exercises that you do when you're meant to start, you know, before you start casting. Yeah, Warwolf Trebuchet, kind of cool. It gets a little cosmetic upgrade, which is one of the things I love about it. The Monastery now going to be coming out. We already see on the other side that the Monk is in production for Kaup. He's absolutely rushed up this Monastery, got it up as quickly as he could, and we'll switch it over to income per minute because we're at the 15-minute mark now. We're not going to compare the pair just yet, but veterancy now coming through on these longbowmen. And at this point, you've got to be very careful about synchronized shot. That is another big player in these games. So upgrades on the side of Dennis. Hobblars, +2. As well as yeomen, all getting upgraded now. For the moment, relics, if we take a look at them, 3 in the middle, 1 over towards the west side, 1 towards the east side with the spearman guarding it up. So we'll keep an eye on Kaup and exactly where he looks to start off by taking this central relic, checking back in with the monastery on the side of his opponent. Where was that monastery? Over here. This is the first one that's coming out. He's going down towards the south, and you can see there is another spearman that's down here. Shouldn't be that effective, and the hobbler's actually going to look to try and clear it out, at least initially. The enemy army could be on the way over here. So probably at the moment it's going to be a 2-3 split in favor of Kaup by the looks of it. Just because Kaup does have the upper hand with regard to timing on these monks. I think he must have put this monastery down with every single villager that was building the King's Palace. So now I think Dennis needs to think a little bit more broadly about the play from here and about where he goes. So I think a really smart move would be putting down a second town center, just because you know that your enemy's got that second town center in the form of the King's Palace. And you want to be able to match that, and it means avoiding fighting. I would also be looking to play into the yeoman synchronized shot. And the last thing that I would be very aware of is the threat of spearmen, or sorry, not spearmen, of men-at-arms and men-at-arms and knights. So I would be looking to go into spearmen and get the billman upgrade, just so that I can defend against those, because the spearmen are going to do very well against the knights, and then at the same time they're going to do quite well against the men-at-arms, though these are English men-at-arms and they may have their armor cladding, so this is something that probably needs to be counted a bit more directly. I guess the alternative is that you just go into knights. Yeomen and knights is probably quite a nice combo. In fact, I think that's probably the way to go, and you can see he's actually making quite a few of these knights at the moment, so definitely compared with the fact that you get the Collar of Esses, which is quite a nice combo with the knights and the demi-lancers, you can really get some good value out from this. But for the moment, Hobblar's about to get sniped out. We can see the first one's going to go down, second one going to go down as well. A lot of range on these longbows as the Monk makes its way back, holding that second relic. Meanwhile, the Monk over towards the east side, he's gone and done a little bit of a route. He's actually trying to pick up this fourth relic over here. Let's see if he can snag it. We've got another one that's coming out from Dennis. It's going to be close, but I suspect Dennis probably will be able to take it. And then that final relic at the west corner is going to also be in play. Now moving forward is Dennis. Dennis looking to be a little bit of a menace here underneath the English town center. We're right on board with them as the longbows look to defend here up against the yeomen, the bowmen from the west. Strong units, fierce units, extra attack speed for the longbows is going to make it very hard to push into this position. Of course, earlier we were talking about the prospect of longbow versus yeoman, and one of the key considerations that we didn't mention was the fact that these guys do get a little bit of extra attack speed, so it can be very difficult to fight into their base. But now, that longbow number is really starting to build here. Switch that camera back around, get a bit of an idea on where these two are going. Might do a bit of an economic comparison between these two. Kaup at the moment 54 against 58 for Dennis. He's taken out quite a few villages here. 10 villages so far taken out. If we compare these economies, 1,000, 1,600, 2,000 resources per minute coming through from Dennis. On the side of Kaup, you're looking at about 2,000 for him as well. So even Stevens on the economies, 3-2 relics split. All those relics have been secured. That's the bottom line right there. Even though these relics are towards the front of the base, I'm sure that they'll stay safe for the moment. So let's check in with Dennis. Let's see how he's doing. Any upgrades for you over here, Dennis? How you doing? No unique upgrades just yet. We are starting to see some... Oh, the condensed land practices come through. So he's looking to move into the additional manors. So he's obviously started off with 3. And now going to be looking to add in additional manors. So I'd be more tempted at this point to go into the second town center. I feel like the second town center makes more sense at this stage, just because you want to try and hit that 130 vil population, and you want to do that sooner. And then what I would also do from there is then look to drop a keep. And then with the keep, I would then be thinking about potentially dropping down those additional manors. You could also look to go Imperial Age as well. But I mean, there's definitely a world where you do want to play into the manors. And he's obviously doing that here. But at the same time, I think we need to respect the fact that the progression that a town center offers you is significantly greater than that of manors, especially 20 minutes into the game. If we were talking, if these were like 6-minute manors or 7-minute manors, then definitely I would agree with you. But we're already quite far through this game. So I think the manors are less valuable when compared to something like a town center. But now firing off the synchronized shot, only hits the back line, not predicting enough. You can see that at the moment, Kalp, he's in a bit of trouble because he doesn't have that extra attack speed coming through from the outpost, and the fact that he's outnumbered. He's going to have to deal with the lancers or the knights on the front. Finally, the spear's going to be coming up here as well, able to repel them for the moment, and the yeomen able to defend at the same time. A really nice engagement from both of these players so far, but I'd love to see from Kalp an outpost brought up before he dares push again. So if we take a look here, there's no outpost towards the front, so I think he could probably get away with an outpost right here if we ride on board with his opponent. Yeah, we can't actually see the line of sight right now, but somewhere in that region. Now he's got the outpost for defense. Synchronized shot. A single one comes through. Little bit of damage right there. Men-at-arms. He's got to have the armor cladding. Indeed, he does. And you can see just how little damage he's able to do to those men-at-arms. He does 1 damage. Now out to the back line. Not able to find a connection once again. I think we're really going to start to see players look to try and bait that out or spread that out over the entirety of the army. I tell you what, I'm really looking forward to the time that we see like Marine Lord, and he's got all of these in different control groups, and it's just like 10 in each, and he just goes 1 Q, 2 Q, 3 Q, 4 Q, and just makes it rain in all these different spots. And that way it's like impossible to dodge. You know, there's going to be some that get hit no matter what. It's going to look absolutely sick the first time it happens. Maybe I make that happen. What if I tried to do that? I couldn't do it. I'd probably pull a hamstring or something. I'm clicking on my mouse too fast and my hamstring's gone. You know how it is. It's a professional gamer thing. No, that's not a professional. That's a professional caster thing. We don't get out enough. We don't get the fingers clicking enough. Upgrades coming through for both of these guys at the same time. Lumber preservation on the way. Both of them obviously thinking about their economies a little bit more here. And the second town center for Kalp going to start scaling now, because obviously it's been quite some time it's been pumping. He's lost 10 villages so far this game, but nonetheless, his economy is still going to be picking up. So now towards the middle of the map, how does Kalp deal with these knights? Sacred site in the north, neutralized for the moment. How does he deal with the knights, though? You could go into mass spear. The problem is you do mass spear, and all of a sudden, you've got the yeomen have got a target. You go crossbows, and now all of a sudden, the yeomen have got another target with synchronized shot. So it's very difficult to think about how you deal with this. But I guess technically, judging by the damage that you're doing right here, there's nothing that really just stops you from going mass yeomen or mass bowmen, mass longbowmen, to actually deal with these. The trouble is a lot of damage is coming through from the yeomen at the time, and we did see a split coming through right there. That was a 2-splitter. Did you see that? I'm calling it, man. We're going to start seeing the triple split from the yeomen shortly. I can feel it. I know it's going to happen. Maybe I should do that. No, I can't. I can't. If I did, I'd probably like I'd get arthritis or something. I can't. Yeah, I don't have the APM for it. All right, well, we'll just have to watch on with Dennis and see whether or not he's going to be able to pull off the triple split today. This group, and then this group right here. There you go. That's what you got to do. Knight number's looking good. How's he doing on the men account? Can we just do a quick check? He's looking quite healthy on the men account. If we have a look at one of his villages, you'll see he's got 7 out of 9 on the menors. He's just moved back up to the top side. It doesn't have... He's got 200 stone. Synchronized shot. No, that's the extra bonus damage. Military training tactics. So knights don't have bonus damage. They just have 24 flat damage. But your yeoman has a bonus damage of, I think it was 7, I want to say. Base damage of 7, bonus damage of 7 in the castle age, and then it gets a +1 to its bonus damage. So this kind of upgrade works very well with things like spearmen or crossbows. Anything that gets a lot of bonus damage against a specific type of unit, it's going to amplify that even more. Okay, so at this stage of the game, if you had to call it one way and say who's got the biggest advantage here, which way would it go? I don't know. I feel like it's pretty even. I mean, technically, if we look at the score, Dennis is up by 1,000. But I don't ever trust the score. I mean, it can start to mean a lot once you start getting to like this point where it's 1,000. Like 1,000 is a lot of difference. And, you know, now that I've looked at the score, it's like, it does kind of feel like Dennis is a bit ahead. Like, he's got all the manners. The Viscount's still kind of, you know, relatively close at this point. Camp hasn't really been able to pull away too much yet with the Old English on that second town center. Like, we're here now at 24 minutes, and that second town center is only just overtaking the single town center. Obviously, there's been a lot of eco damage that's come through, and that's obviously a consideration, but generally, that's my thinking process. It looks like we might have... I thought we were going to have an Imperial Age come through, but it looks like Cap has reconsidered his decision to go for Imperial Age and has subsequently queued up a whole bunch of units. Longbows together with men-at-arms are what he's going to be looking for. There's definitely a timing window for him right now to just go Imperial and just go upgrade your men-at-arms and just spam men-at-arms. Because if we look at his income, he's got 2,000 food per minute. So that's 20 men-at-arms every minute. That's a solid amount of men-at-arms. That's a scary amount of men-at-arms. But at the same time, the other thing is, if you go Imp and your opponent sees you go Imp, they're just going to follow you up straight away. They're going to get all the upgrades. And by the time you attack, you'd have to make your attack very, very good. Like, the timing would have to be immaculate. But we do now start to see walls coming up. He is going Imp. It's going to be a Berkshire. It's a defensive Berkshire, so looking to play a little bit more defensive. Now, I would have gone for something a little bit further out. It's easy for me to say that because I can see where the enemy army is, right? He can't see where the enemy army is. He's got no idea where it is. So to him, it could just be anywhere. But I'd be like, okay, if we do a Berkshire here, we can challenge this sacred site and we can also defend this goal down here, technically. And this one as well. It's more of like a pseudo defense. It's not a real defense. I'm a real defense. No, you're not a real defense. But yeah, you get the idea. Anyway, Knight's now going to come through. He's looking to try and find anything out here. Berkshire about to come online. The Old English Berkshire. Obviously got quite a few bonuses in here. Still got network of citadels to pick up. Enclosure's the first tech he's going for. Followed by elite men-at-arms and elite longbowmen. And on the side of Dennis, you can see that almost immediately he's going to be clicking up. He's going to be looking to get those upgrades as well. Now, which way does he go? It's going to be Wingard, right? There's no way he goes for Berkshire. I feel like Wingard is so much better. And yeah, it's going to be Wingard. I feel like Wingard is a lot better for House of Lancaster, but that's mainly because I haven't really played around too much with the whole idea of getting that extra bonus damage that you can get from keeps with the House of Lancaster bonuses. But for the moment, it looks like the defense will be on just with our military infrastructure. All the villagers are going to be on the run. This is not going to be good for the villager. If you enjoy villagers, now is not the time. And Kaup has actually been called back. That's kind of wild. That just with these small raiding forces, the entire army is no longer going to push. Because what Kaup wants to do right now, what he needs to do right now is he needs to force a fight. He needs to push Dennis to the edge of the map and needs to fight him. So, like, don't be afraid by a Lancaster castle. Don't even siege a Lancaster castle. You should be running past this. You need to be finding the army. And you need to fight them before the elite upgrades come through. That's what you have to do right here. So your job is not to siege right now. Your job is to kill the army. You have to kill the army and you have to kill it right now. Because he's about to click all of his upgrades. He's got plenty of gold in the bank. So he's going to click 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's the window that you've got. So, you know, right now what Dennis is doing, he is very happy. You're giving him all of this time. You're allowing him to have this time to get upgrades through, but he's not clicking the upgrades. Why is he not clicking the upgrades? Dennis, click the upgrades, Dennis. Somebody tell Dennis he needs to click the upgrades. Knights behind the scenes trying to get some work. There they are, finally. Elite Knights, elite Yeomen. The Lancaster castle goes down and the Yeomen fire off, but you can see they're having a little bit of trouble. All the men-at-arms have been elite upgraded. 10 ranged armor here compared to the Yeomen with 9 ranged damage. And they don't heal them up. They do a minimum of 1. A floor of 1 damage, but I tell you what, it's going to be a scrappy game when it comes to that. Upgrade still on the way through, +3 coming in as well. And now the Yeomen have to be cautious because the longbows are looking for it. No outpost brought up just yet by Kaup. You would have thought with a push like this, he would have started thinking about shoving. But you can see just how much damage those longbowmen do. 11 damage, +3. Still not in just yet. He's also looking for veterancy. Knight still causing havoc behind the scenes. He's taken out a lot of vills this game. 35 already. And now those numbers, I mean, at the end of the day, I can't help but feel like Kaup made an absolutely astronomical error by not pushing this. At the end of, like, you don't need to kill Lancaster Castle, man. It barely scratches. It does 12 damage a shot. Ignore it. Town center, exactly the same. Just go after that army, kill that army, and then you can start thinking about the landmarks. At least that's the way I'm thinking about it. I don't know. Maybe you disagree, but that's the way I'm thinking about it. Nice little splits in anticipation for the yeoman. Have a look at this. He's splitting up everything. It feels like we're watching Marine Lord right now. He's got to fire off at a couple units at the back. A little bit of a split. It's the triple. He did it. He pulled it off. I knew he'd see it this game. Dennis, the menace, ahead of the rest. And now these knights come banging their chests as they think they're blessed from the House of Lancaster, but I tell you the rest. But unfortunately, I must confess, I don't have any more. That's it. That's all I've got. Look at these knights, bro. They are just tearing down the house right now. No real reaction, no real response to this from Kaup. And I mean, Dennis has just capitalized on this massive mistake from Kaup. Beautiful micro that we've witnessed on both sides of the aisle. We've seen the longbows splitting up. We've seen the yeomen matching them with their own splits. The triple split, in fact. Beautiful synchronized shots, and they should be back up again right now as he does a double. Can he get the triple? They're all up at point blank range. He's going to lose them all. There it is! I knew he was holding it. Dude, he's good. He's good. Dennis is good. Look at the oh, now he's got the incendiary arrows. It's all over Red Rover. That's it, ladies and gentlemen. 30 minutes into the game, and I can't help but feel Kaup has got to be just head in his hands, tail between his legs. Where does he go from here? How does he pull this one back? What can he possibly do? Because I don't know the answer. It feels like you're behind at this point. You've lost a lot of vills. The enemy's got a booming economy. And granted, we know a lot more than they do. We've got Omnivision. We see everything. But at the same time, there's got to be a mood. There's got to be a feeling. You know, it's one of those weird things where it's like, I remember whenever I'm playing Age of Empires, I always feel like I'm behind. Always. Like, I could be ahead by a mile. I could be up against like a Bronze 1 player, and I'd still be thinking, oh, I feel like I'm behind. I think I'm behind here. Is that just me? Is it one of those things like, is it kind of like Dunning-Kruger in the sense? It's probably not, but you get the idea, right? It's going to be something different to Dunning-Kruger. Dunning-Kruger is obviously very specific. I know Dunning-Kruger quite well. I'm a huge proponent of it. Sorry, I had to drop that one in. Yeah, I mean, Dunning-Kruger's been such a good insult for so long. Playing League of Legends especially. I feel like my name, I should have just changed my name to Dunning-Kruger at that point. Let's check in and see how these economies are doing. Compare the pair. So we've got 3.9k on the side of Kaup. On the side of Dennis, we're looking at a similar number. No, I take it back. There's also some stone being gathered up here. So realistically, about 3.7k for Dennis. So economy is still relatively even, despite the difference in manners. I was going to say in banks. A little bit of Age of Empires 3 rubbing off on me right there. He's got 9 manners at the moment. Has he picked up scootage? Let's take a look and see. Do we have some scootage in the house? We do not have some scootage in the house. This is the #1 mistake that House of Lancaster mains are making. They're not getting their scootage. You got to remember how quickly this pays itself off, right? Like, this is ridiculous. 40 gold per minute. You've got 9 of them. That means 360 gold per minute. This upgrade costs just slightly under 600 gold, which means that this pays itself off in less than 2 minutes. That is incredible. Imagine if I was going to say, imagine if I gave you an investment option right now, and you're like, you can invest in my company, and you will be paid back everything you invested within 2 minutes, and you'll get to keep all the stock. You'd be like, that's crazy. Like, you must be pumping, bro. Why do you even need the cash? It's like, yeah, that's the trick. Sorry, that was not financial advice. This was purely for entertainment purposes only. All right, let's check in and see how Kaup is doing. He's looking to try and find a way back through. The men-at-arms, he believes, are going to be his choice to win this game. Men-at-arms towards the front. Boiling oil about to come through. It's going to help out the defense. More men-at-arms making their way back. Men-at-arms in the north. Dennis probably going to be moving into a more knight-centric army. Spots out the Wingard Palace. Sees the villagers nearby as well and considers, okay, where do we go from here? But you know what he's doing? Not only is he looking to kill villies? Did I ever call them villies in the past? I don't think I ever called them villies. I think they've just always been vills. Yeah, I think I've always just called them vills. Anyway, gonna find some villies. He's gonna find some vills right here on the berries, some of the leftover berries. But there's also a bit of a push going on the front. A couple of yeomen getting brought out here a little bit too far. Gonna try and take out that monk before they get taken out by the Berkshire. Unfortunately, the monk does go down, but with that, so will a couple of yeomen surviving. 17 health. More men-at-arms behind the scene. Kaup up 16 villagers now in this game. When we think about their economies and what they've got going for them, so Kaup has also got enclosures going. That's another consideration. He's also technically up 1 relic. So these are also factors that we need to consider. So if we have a look right now, you'll see that Kaup is sitting at about 4,600 between these two, so call it 5,400 on the total economy. And on the side of Dennis, it's nowhere near that high. You're looking at about 4.7. So Dennis is technically behind on the economy. But when it comes to the military, if we look at the army value, this is accurate now. So he's up by about 5k. So that is a substantial amount of resources that you're down. But both players approaching that 200 population limit. Breaking through the walls on the outside. No stone walls coming in just yet. Spearmen looking to try and take down these knights. No elite army tactics just yet. In fact, it's coming through right now for Kaup. He's going to try and get these knights down to the bottom side, and you can see outnumbering the enemy when it comes to these cavalry units. No biology yet. It's coming through, though. Don't worry. We've also got other upgrades. The padded jacket going to be coming in, or the padded yak, as some people will call it. Improving the melee armor by 3. So that's your yeoman and spearmen. Dude, that's kind of crazy when you think about it. 3 melee armor against men-at-arms. So now that means you're going from... well, in this case, from 1 to 4. It should be from 3 to 6. So that's pretty strong. Stone walls also going to be considered as an option here. And now we hear the cannon emplacement firing off. I don't help but feel like Kaup is getting cleaned up. He's definitely making Dennis work for his money. He's taken out quite a few vills in this game, but my fear is that all that's going to happen is that Dennis is going to wall up. Dennis is going to come back stronger. And Dennis is just going to be able to finish him off. Like, look, the numbers look very, very good for Dennis at the moment. And now the yeoman firing down on the remnants of this men-at-arms army. There's still quite a bit up towards the top side. In fact, he's got a whole bunch of them just trickling through. He's opened up a couple of little holes out here. So these stone walls need to come up sooner rather than later. The sooner they're up, then you don't have to worry about them. But hold on a minute. Have we got ourselves a little bit of a comeback on the cards? Bombard out as well. Lots of men-at-arms. He's having trouble keeping control of all these men-at-arms. Look at the Vil count. Hold on a minute. It's happening. It's happening. You're witnessing it. This is it, ladies and gentlemen. We got ourselves a bit of a comeback on the cards. And now, oh, I'm sitting up in my chair. I'm getting excited. I'm getting ready. I'm hitting the buttons, ladies and gentlemen. 117 military pop against 86 as the yeomen tee off. One of the key weaknesses that they've got are armored units. And now those lancers, those knights on the front, going to be dealing with a large mass. There's the first. Where's that synchronized shot? Show me the money. He's firing down at a couple more men-at-arms. You can see just how long it's taken him to work through these units. Bombard as well, firing off on the back. Yeoman mass doesn't really look like it's falling at the moment. Let's check in on the other side of the map and see what else we got going as more knights make their way through. A little bit of an extra unit army company sent out over here. More towards the north. They're getting cleaned up. As long as he's dealing with it, he'll be okay. Military advantage still going Dennis's way. When it comes to the count, 173 versus 160. Still working it down. Numbers holding strong. Dennis about double the military of his opponent. And Kaup getting cleaned up. The numbers still looking way too good. We haven't seen any shots of synchronicity sent off in the middle just yet. Apparently, there's quite a few on cooldown. Perhaps I missed them when I was checking. And some of the other regions, you can see more men-at-arms back here. Vil count still very far in favor of Kaup. He's cleaned up quite a few villages in the last couple of minutes. But now, Dennis looking to become the menace. Looking to really try and harness that power of the House of Lancaster. And you can't help but feel like maybe Kaup has just got to fall back for the moment. Stop rallying in units so much. Fall back towards a keep or something. If you've got one, maybe a Berkshire if you would. Fall back towards it, rebuild. Battering ram coming up. I don't know if you need a battering ram, but it's kind of nice just to have the battering ram just working down the enemy buildings while you're doing other things, other shenanigans going on. So I was gonna say, drop the one battering ram, let it go to town on the manors, and then just go like over here somewhere. I don't know. You just want to distract, delay, all that good stuff. And now the yeoman starting to push forward. Bombard's firing off. He's managed to keep them alive. Outpost coming up as well. No emplacements on them just yet. He's cancelled off the third one. And Kaup under pressure. You can feel it right now. Dennis, synchronized shot. Apparently it's been used again. I keep missing it. I'm looking forward to these triple threat synchronized shots. We're gonna start calling them sync shots now. That's it. That's what we're calling them. That's the new name for them. The sync shot. Watch out for the sync shot coming in. Meanwhile, towards the top side, battering ram working. It's magic men-at-arms on the wood line. Vil count starting to fall. It's definitely getting... you can feel it pushing towards the end. Oh my lord, no. Kaup is doing it. Cap is doing it. Look at the men-at-arms. There's no knights here to deal with this, and his attention's in other areas. He's getting his base burned down. The men-at-arms just cleaning up all of the English, or all of the English variant House of Lancaster villagers. Knights now starting to run through. He's getting a little bit of kiting going on. Let's see if we get that sink shot. Looking at hit. He's got a beautiful little cluster he can go for right here, and there it is, firing off into the center of mass. Does it? Barely a thing. More men-at-arms. Oh my lord, they're swarming like zerglings. Look at them go. And now he's going to have to fall back on something. He needs crossbows. He needs anything to frontline for him right now. He needs some way to take these out. Sacred Site's getting neutralized. At the end of the day, it looks like Dennis might not be having his way. Kaup has somehow, some way, made his way back into it. Look at the army value. It's switched around. The men-at-arms, the yeomen, unfortunately, were not the key to this strategy. He needed something different. He's been spamming yeomen for a long time, and we talked about this, the fact that the yeoman is a fast unit. It's got that extra range. But one of the things I often talk about with this unit is it's very difficult to deal with men-at-arms like this. At the end of the day, the men-at-arms, you can kite them, but the reality is if you can't kite 50 of them. You cannot kite 50 men-at-arms. I mean, technically you probably could if you had a really large map, a gigantic map, but you can see the amount of damage that's been done behind the scenes. Absolute cleanup, and I think that's it. I can't believe we've gone from swinging one way to swinging the other. How the tables have turned. What a game we have just witnessed. We have witnessed one of the potentially best games on this patch just yet. It did not reveal itself until the very end. I can't help but feel there's no way that Kaup loses this game right now. I've said that before. Hand cannoneers are starting to... Oh my lord. No, don't do it to me. Not like not like this. He was looking so good. There's no way Kaup loses from this position, right? He's up 100 vils. He's sieging it down, and there is no way. Ladies and gentlemen, that is it. What an incredible game coming out from Kaup. Definitely one of the legendary games, that is for sure. Put it up there in the portfolio. Fellas, make sure you go check them out. I'll leave links in the description to where you can watch both of these guys, Dennis Kiar and Kaup, down in the description. Go say good day from me, and we will catch you in the next one. Thank you so much for watching.